Hey everybody, the Johnny Cage here, welcoming you to another movie review. I just got back a couple of hours ago from seeing The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, and I figured haven't done a movie review in a few weeks, so I figured I'd let you know what I thought about this movie that is one of the most anticipated movies of the year. Everyone's clamoring, going crazy about it, for the most part, but I'll give you my 2 cents. So let's see, on IMDb right now, it's got an 8.6. When this movie just came out, it had like a 9.2, so it's gone down a bit, but if it was a 9.2, it would be the best movie of all time. And would I consider this the best movie of all time? No, but come on, best movie of all time. That's a title that's impossible to give. So, if you've never read the book, you don't know anything about The Hobbit, or Lord of the Rings for that matter, IMDb describes it as a younger and more reluctant Hobbit, Bilbo Baggins, sets out on an unexpected journey to the Lonely Mountain with a spirited group of dwarves to reclaim that's totally typoed, to reclaim their stolen mountain home from a dragon called Smaug. And that is indeed what is going on here, people. So, if you've read the book, I guess I'll start by saying that if you've read the book, you know that this book is an easier read than the Lord of the Rings books are. The Lord of the Rings books are gigantic. This, I should have looked up, actually, because I got the book. I just read it for the first time about a year and a half ago. It's pretty small. I mean, I've got it in paperback, and it's no more than like 275 pages, so it's a very short book, which is interesting considering that they're planning on making this a trilogy. That being said, I felt that the pacing of this movie was a little slow, because they're obviously trying to draw it out a bit. I thought that the first half of it was just a little bit slower than it had to be. Also, one small gripe I have with this is that there was a bit more comedy in this movie than I thought that there was going to be, that I thought was justified, really. I mean, there were just moments in it. I'm going to go through, this is going to be spoiler territory, obviously, as you guys know who've seen my reviews before, but, there's, like, these parts, like, okay, when they get caught by the goblins, and you're only going to know this if you've read the book, but, they get caught by the goblins in the mountain, and the, like, goblin king that's there, he corners Gandalf, and he's, like, tells Gandalf what he's gonna do, and Gandalf just pokes him in the eye with his staff, and then cuts his stomach open, and then he says something stupid like, "Oh, I guess that will do it." And that's just like one instance, and there are a couple other instances where there were like this completely kind of cheesy, unnecessary, trying to be funny bits that I thought weren't like, this is a lot less mature, I think, perhaps than the actual Lord of the Rings books are. That whole story with, Aragorn and becoming the king once again. But at the same time, I just thought that was, it kind of, I don't know, it stood out enough to the point where it bothered me a tiny bit. Now, as for all the good things, well, that's the whole rest of the movie. Everything here is a good thing. You have Ian McKellen, of course, reprising his role as Gandalf. Just amazing job. Martin Freeman as Bilbo. If you don't know who he is, American audiences will know him as the main character, perhaps he will know him as the main character from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And if you are from overseas, then you probably know him as being one of the main characters on the British version of The Office. That's definitely what he's most popular for. Everyone else, all the dwarves, really great. Obviously you see a lot of them in the preview, so you probably know what they look like already, but they just look so very dwarven, in the most fantasy of senses. And every one of them just does a pretty good job. Well, I guess every one of them that has like a speaking part in the movie has a really good job, but they're probably like, it's a company of 13 dwarves plus Bilbo, so 14 altogether, and I would say that of the 13 dwarves, there maybe are like 3 or 4 that have like actual like speaking parts, maybe in like the whole movie. I'm sure everyone has a line, but like all I can really remember is Thorin Oakenshield and the older dwarf, whom I'm not sure. I think it was Oin. I want to say those two like had the most, and then there was Keeley who had a bow the whole time, so he was like the archer of the group. So they always went to him, and he's kind of a weird dwarf because he doesn't really look dwarfish. I guess they're trying to change it up a bit. Not all the dwarves have to look the same, obviously, but the way that he looks, his face looks, the makeup, it doesn't. He looks more elfish almost, but he's a tiny person, so that's how it goes, I suppose. Anyhow. The story, like I said, I read the book about a year and a half ago, so the story from what I recalled about it, dead on. Like, I can't remember anything that was in the book that got left out of it. The fight with the trolls was really awesome. Getting Bilbo to, it's just like his like kind of coming of age. This is kind of, I guess if you summed up the first part of this movie, it's him just coming up and just getting courageous and being brave, and then that's kind of where they decided the stopping point of the movie would be. Because originally, I thought the end of the movie was going to be with him and Gollum when they're in the cave and he finds the ring, and that's pretty close to the end, but they still go past that a little bit. It ends for those that I don't know. You probably read the book or know this already, but it ends when the eagle saved them when they're up in the trees and they're being attacked by the orcs, and then the eagle saved them. They get to see the Lonely Mountain, which is where they're going because the evil dragon Smog has attacked their home that was there long ago and is just living on top of a bunch of treasure, much like Scrooge McDuck swimming through gold coins and stuff. He's just a big dragon that just sleeps all day long on this huge treasure. So that's the idea of where they're going and what they're going to do. But yeah, this was a really fantastic movie. I saw it in IMAX 3D, which I gotta say, I didn't really care for the 3D. I really wanted to see this on IMAX, no doubt about it. But there was, it was one with the other, so I had to see it in IMAX 3D. The 3D was pointless. I saw nothing there. I paid $17 for a ticket to this, by the way, which I thought was a lot because I have a theater down the block from me where I can go for to see a matinee showing for only $4.50. So to pay $17 for a movie, that's a ton for me, and it should be a ton for anyone. But, it was worth it. At least it was this movie. So on IMAX 3D, IMAX amazing. 3D wasn't there at all. A lot of people have been talking about this 48 frames per second. Now, and they say that it kind of sucks because in 48 frames per second, stuff moves so fluently that it takes you out of the immersion of watching a movie. People have compared it to watching home video, because it's just, I guess it moves so realistically, I guess. I didn't notice it at all, and that may have been because I saw the movie in 3D. Maybe if I go see it in just like a 2D normal theater, I would notice that more, but I did not notice it at all in this movie, so I don't know why people are so up in arms about it. I mean, whatever. But yeah, that's the movie in a nutshell. I thought it was going to be a really long review, but what can I say about it? I'm sure tons of people saw it over the weekend, and I'm sure tons of people have read the book, and they do a damn good job of adapting the book to the movie. There's some stuff that they did really well that you can't even get out of the book, I thought. Like, for instance, after they leave Rivendell, the home of the elves, they are climbing through this mountainside, and it turns out the mountains that they're on are actually giant stone golems that just start to, like, pull themselves away from the mountain and get up and just start fighting each other. And I didn't even remember that from the book, but if it is in the book, then that's something that you can't read and get a really good feeling of how epic that is, because it was really awesome when I saw that. Otherwise, Frodo's in the movie. That was kind of strange. I had seen a long time ago on the cast list that the cast included people like Frodo and Legolas. Legolas wasn't in it, which, thank goodness. But the way that they, kind of like pushed Frodo into it, and maybe this is a small negative on the movie's part as well, the way they got him in there is, when Bilbo's older, he starts writing the book. Like in the beginning of the movie, they show him starting to write the book, The Hobbit, and as he's kind of writing the book, Frodo comes in and talks to him for a little bit, and you discover that this takes place right before the Fellowship of the Rings takes place, because Frodo asks him if he thinks Gandalf is going to show up, and then obviously in the beginning of the Fellowship, it kind of starts with Gandalf showing up in the Shire, so it takes place like moments before that. Just a little bit of fan service to throw Frodo in. I thought it was unnecessary, but what can you do? So yeah, I'm going to give the movie a 9 out of 10. I thought it was awesome. This movie could have been a 10 out of 10, but I can only give it a 9, unfortunately. There were just a couple things that just didn't pull me into it as much as like the Lord of the Rings movies did, but not enough to, this is still an amazing film. I probably will go see it again. I guess that's all I can say. The sad fact is you are comparing this inevitably to the Lord of the Rings films, but it's still amazing. in the next one looks like it's going to be even more awesome. Because it's going to be much more action-packed, I think, than this one is. And I don't need action necessarily for it to be a great movie, but I think it helps, especially with Lord of the Rings type material, or Tolkien material, I should say. One other interesting fact before we end this off is that it was an IMAX only exclusive, and it said that before I saw this preview. That's how I know. But there was a preview for Star Trek Into Darkness, the new Star Trek movie that's coming out, and not only was it a preview, but this was in like an entire scene from the movie. It was at least 10 minutes long, and so they showed a ton of it. And I know this has nothing to do with The Hobbit, obviously, but a lot of people have been speculating who the bad guy is going to be in that. A lot of people think it's going to be Khan, and there's reason to believe that, especially after seeing the preview. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Khan. But there are signs that this is going the same way that the movie Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan went. So who knows? It could be. It just does not look like the original Khan is all. But anyhow, so way off topic. But that's my review on The Hobbit. Amazing film. You really got to go see it. Everyone's going to be talking about it. And just for that reason alone, you should go see a movie like this. So, there you go, everyone. Next week, I don't know if I'm going to go see anything. But Django Unchained is coming out on Christmas Day. And I'm definitely going to go see that. Anyhow, guys, thanks a lot for listening. This has been the Johnny Cage. I'll talk to all of you awesome people later on with another movie review, hopefully. Later on, everybody.